So if you're a fitness instructor, this is kind of going to help. If you're, I don't know, you're just working out and planning your own workouts, maybe it'll help. If you do like this content or like other videos, please like, subscribe, and share. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so if you guys do not know, I am a certified kettlebell coach. I hold multiple certifications. I am also getting certified, well, I'm getting another certification in kettlebells, and I'm also getting certified in animal flow. I have had my on-demand, the kettlebell with an E at the end.com, kettlebell like Southern Belle. I've had my on-demand channel for a little while now, but I am slightly newer to in-person teaching, and I'll say I do things a little bit different. What is that? Sorry, y'all. I just got in from the pool and I like took a shower and put something on and was like, let me film. So I do plan my workouts for in-person classes a little bit differently than my on-demand. Currently, my on-demand, the way that I structure, if you are a member, every single month we have new planned workouts to work out 3 times a week. And the way that those are structured is a bell strength, a bell endurance, and a bell booty. So this particular month, we're really focusing on kind of all 3 aspects: gaining strength, working on our conditioning to kind of lean out, and then working on that booty with a focus with bell booty. My dog keeps staring at me. It's freaking me out because it is summer and we're trying to get that nice round peach, right? So that's this month. Now, next month, I haven't quite got around to planning August's workouts yet. They'll be a little bit different. I think that it's closing the end of summer. So I think what I'm going to do is focus a little bit more on shredding us out. And maybe the following month, I'll focus a little bit more on continuing to up our strength, but we'll see. I haven't really decided. So that comes with a little bit more of a plan when you're looking at the on-demand. Now, the in-person lives, I'm slightly newer to. I started doing in-person classes earlier this year, I think back in February, something like that. And my goal with the in-person classes was to really get in front of people, help build the community. I think that you can do a lot with on-demand. I think that on-demand is wonderful. My on-demand classes, you can message me directly in the app, and I advise people, if something doesn't feel right, film yourself and send it to me on Instagram. So I personally like to be accessible to clients on demand. However, I do think that in-person classes, aren't y'all loving my bun today? It's high. I do think that in-person classes offer value that the virtual world usually can't, in that if I'm in front of you, I can see things and see areas that need improvement or adjustments. I may not be able to see those things quite as well on a video. When I am teaching an in-person class, I have a 360 view. Is it 360 or 180? I don't know. I have a full view of my clients when they're in class, right? I view them from multiple angles to make sure that everything is in alignment, okay? If you're filming and sending something to me, depending on your filming skills, I may not have that view, or I may have to ask for that video multiple times from different positions. And that can get, from a user perspective, can get annoying, right? Like, you're not here to film yourself. You don't want to have to do that, but that's just what it is. So in-person classes, currently I teach twice a week at different locations. I have another location coming up, and I'll be teaching some Monday nights as well at another location. So it's harder when it comes to planning in-person classes, in that it's harder to maintain a specific goal. So if I had a studio and I were teaching clients kettlebells, or I was like the only instructor or whatever, it would be different for me, because I would be able to devise a program for the month, and we have a specific goal for the month. You come to every class would be the goal, right? To hit that specific goal for the month. With the way that I teach now, I have one class at a studio, okay? At that particular studio, they have other things. They have yoga, they have recovery, they have mobility, they have strength training, conditioning training, booty yoga. So they have multiple things going on. You purchase a membership and you come to whatever classes you want. Okay. If I'm teaching one class, as far as like a goal, it's likely not a consistent goal. The goal might change per class. I hope that that makes sense. So whereas my on-demands every month, I'm planning them and there's a specific goal in mind. My live classes, there's not one in particular goal, and or it changes depending upon the class, right? So that can change every single week. When it comes to planning my classes in general, depending on what I'm doing, so most of my classes that are at the studio are endurance-based with a core finisher. My goal with those classes is to make sure that our heart rate gets up. My goal with those particular classes is to include it as a full body workout and to work the core from every angle, right? So with that, I try to include push-pull motions for both the upper body and the lower body. I try to do things that are really focused on, shoot, I was losing my train of thought. Oh my gosh. I lost my train of thought, guys. I try to include as many planes in the body as possible, but within one short class, like, it's hard to do all of these things. When I think about programming my workouts, I have a couple of different goals. One, I want to make the workouts as efficient as possible, which means I strive to hit as many muscle groups as possible within the workout within a short amount of time. And I strive to work the body from multiple planes. So normally we work on the frontal plane, but I try to add additional planes throughout our movements. So things like doing a 3-way lunge, things like doing a lateral lunge, a curtsy lunge, so that you are working for multiple positions. And then I also try to balance and stability. I really work on ensuring that balance and stability and unilateral work are in my workouts. Now that is if it is like a full program, right? I also love to work mobility. Mobility is included in all of my workouts. However, it's short because you're thinking of one class, right? It's short mobility work at the beginning. When it's a program, I really try to incorporate mobility as its own quote unquote workout because it's so important. You don't get that if it's just one class, okay? So I guess what I'm trying to say here is when you're working to devise a plan for one class, it's not going to look the same as if you were either teaching every single day or if you were doing online training, okay? It's gonna most definitely look different. The thing to remember is when people are coming to a class, or if you're doing like a workout, a fitness event, you have to think in terms of one class, what are they going to enjoy? and focus a little bit less on, I wonder what their goal is. Because no matter what their goal is, if they're attending one class or even one class a week, they're not going to reach that goal if it's just one time or once a week, right? Does that make sense? Versus if they're paying the money to actually do something on demand, have a schedule, have a routine, have more of a structure, then that's going to come with a different quote unquote goal for you to have to plan around. So the first thing that you really need to think about is, are you planning your workouts for a consistent schedule, or are you planning your workouts for like a one-time class or event? And then you can really take away what you want that to look like. So again, my on-demand planning is totally different, but my live classes, when I go into them, I do think in terms of what can I create that is most balanced, but I also want you to really put a little bit less pressure on yourself when you're creating just that one-time class, once a week class, whatever that is, and think more about, okay, what can I do that's kind of fun, structured, but that also is kind of balanced. So even if like, is it next week? It might be next week. So next week when I'm teaching out at the studio, I might do something that's more upper body focused, but then I encourage people to come to a workout that I teach out at the bar, and it's like more lower focused. So that's a way that can kind of encourage people to come to both, so that they are getting, you know, that more balanced workout in their week. But you have to think that if you're at a different location, people probably aren't going to do that. Like, it just is what it is. The other thing that I was going to mention was, as far as like planning out my workouts, I'm old fashioned. I write them down. When I'm at the studio, I write down what I've written down on a board. We have a board out there, and that way like people can see too what's coming up. I also do use a timer on my phone. A lot of my workouts are time-based. I have found it's easier for myself and it's easier for my clients to not have to keep track of reps. So for us personally, it's just been a lot simpler, and it's made more sense for us just to stick to a time. So call it circuit training, HIIT training. We've even done EMOMs and AMRAPs. I feel like I'm saying a lot. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think. But typically the style that we do is a circuit style of training, and we'll either do 40 or 45 seconds on. Sometimes we'll do 30, 20s. And then you do it for X amount of rounds. And I personally just use, I think it's literally called the Timer app. It's like orange or yellow, and it's free. And you can schedule circuits. You can schedule like EMOMs, AMRAPs, Tabatas. Trying to think if there's anything else, but it's pretty much all encompassing, and it's the easiest thing. So I'll go in there and I'll section off X amount of time for a warm up and mobility. And then I will go in, I will add all of my exercises for my circuits and how many rounds we're doing of each. And then I'll schedule time for our stretch and cool down. Excuse me. And that way, like, all of that's in there. Now, my on-demand, obviously, I don't have to do that. I film full-length follow-along videos, and then I provide PDFs and spreadsheets to my clients directly in the app or in their group. That way, I do have recommendations for timers in the groups, but that's just kind of like, if they didn't want to do the follow-along, they could take the PDF and they could set their own timer and just work out like at the gym or whatever. Some people don't like the follow along videos, and that's totally fine. I do find the majority of people use the follow along videos. So at that point, it's just like me filming and you just follow along with me and you don't need the timer, right? What else is there? I don't think there's really anything else. Like I said, if it were me and I had my own studio, fingers crossed, one day, you know, I would probably do something that was like a little bit more structured throughout the week. So I would have probably Monday mobility, Tuesday Tabata, working more on that conditioning. And then I would look at things like an upper body focus day, a lower body focus day, probably a day of like skill drills. And that way it's just kind of all encompassing, but I don't have that yet. So we don't really have to put that much pressure on. I will say, just on a final note, if you are a fitness instructor, a fitness coach, fitness trainer, whatever, what have you, if you're looking to make it your life's work, you will not get rich off of in-person classes, unless, I will say, unless if you have your own studio and it does really well and you have different trainers to teach the classes that you plan throughout the week. So that's one thing, and that's what I would love to do, is just to hire really great coaches. I could plan the workouts, or they could help me plan the workouts, and then actually have them teach the workouts throughout the week and kind of alternate with me. I will tell you, if you're a single coach and you are teaching for 6 days a week, it's going to burn you out so fast. But if I were a coach and had my own studio and could delegate and could hire on coaches, you could make a significant living. It's really hard depending on where you are, just as a new like studio, new gym in general. But I think that you could really build something up from that, potentially an empire. Personally, and from my experience and from my conversations with other folks, gym owners, trainers, etc., in the industry, your money is really going to be in that on-demand space. And I say that because you have a larger pool of potential clients, right? And I also say that because as far as like burning out, I don't feel like it's there in the on-demand space quite as much. You can kind of film videos in bulk, upload them, step back, whatever. It's a little bit more, I don't really want to say passive, because personally, I think it takes a lot of work to be really good in the on-demand space because it is so saturated. So you still need to be like crazy available to really kind of set yourself apart as a really good coach, and to have that kind of personalized relationship with your clients. But I think, again, you have an opportunity to get way more clients, which means that recurring income. So personally, I love teaching in person. When I leave a class, I feel energized. I love when my clients ask me questions. I love their comments about how much they've enjoyed the class. You know, I love to see them showing up every single week. I'm here for it. I don't think I'll ever completely stop doing in-person classes. If it gets to a point where, you know, my on-demand grows so big, or if it did get to a point where I could open up my own studio, fingers crossed. I have a whole plan for that. But if it did get to that point, I would also always teach at least once a week, because I think that making those face-to-face connections are so important. And I really do believe that nothing really trumps that in-person feedback that you can have from a qualified professional. So that's just my opinion. You will hear other trainers say differently. You'll hear other clients say differently, and that's totally fine. But I feel like me being in front of you, being able to show you and readjust your alignment is so much more valuable than being online and saying, okay, do this a little bit differently, or you just following me from a video. That's my personal experience. But I hope that, I don't know, maybe this gave you guys some insight. If you're a fitness instructor, if you're, working out online or whatever it is, I hope that this gave you some kind of insights. And if you've never tried kettlebell training before, please do so. I do offer a 3-day free trial over on the kettlebell.com/on-demand. So feel free to do that. I will link that below as well. And yeah, I think that's it. So if you want to hear more about like being a fitness professional entrepreneur, feel free to like, comment, share. I'll do more surrounding that kind of content. If you're like, this isn't helpful to me, then that's totally fine. Keep it moving. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.